Yep, definitely need to lose our air, folks, and getting a bit warm here. This is a woolen shirt or jacket, call it what you will, that I have on. It's a New Zealand piece of gear actually, swan dry. And it's waterproof, it's lined inside, so although it's wool on the outside, it's got a waterproof lining in it. So it's pretty warm. There's a good climb there, folks. I didn't put the camera at the side of the track, you'll have to take my word for it, but up ahead I'm on the second step. So there's another really steep pull coming up actually. I can see ahead I'm going to have to hike some of this. Water under the snow on the track, and when I was coming up that steep bit there, the back wheel was slipping. Shaking you about there, trying to keep my balance. I'll go up a wee bit and then I'll hike. Oh, quite steep. I don't know if that camera angle's flattening it out a bit or not, but trust me, it's quite steep. So let me tilt that down a wee bit for you. Away in the distance there is Benavoord. And then I'll just lift the front end over, that's the easiest way to do it. And in there, the snow clad summit away in the distance there. If you can see it, it's merging with a cloud. That's Benan. Well, even in my lowest climbing gear on this bike or any other bike that I own, I wouldn't be able to cycle this. I feel like I need an ice axe to get up it. Up we go. can't believe it, folks. You probably realise that the bike is pointing in the wrong direction. I'm supposed to be going that way. So I mentioned in a video that I shot mostly in my gear room that my old Genesis frame failed where the rear carrier joins onto the rear triangle of the bicycle. Basically the barnacle, the braison came off, it sheared off and it took a bit of the frame with it. And Genesis very kindly offered some compensation, which I used to buy this second-hand Genesis. Well, let me take the camera off the front of the bicycle here. I'll keep this one rolling and I'll explain what has just happened coming down that descent there. Give me a second or two to pull this camera off here. Can you see that? When I pull that out, I need two hands, it's quite... So it should be brazed on there. I've got my cages on the front, but I'm going to have to unpack and repack. And, I've still got a few hours of daylight left, but whether I can actually get to my camping spot or not remains to be seen. Let me turn this camera off and save the battery. So we're going to be here for a wee while, folks. So instead of a cycling video, we're going to turn this into a trackside bicycle bodging video. Let's see if I can do something with this and get myself mobile again, because I'm a fair distance in. The car's a long way that way, it's a long way to hike a bike. So let me unpack it and see what we can do. I'm just going to pull it forward out of the grass a little bit. So these bags there, they look very heavily laden, but it's winter gear, it's bulk rather than weight. So I don't know what's going on with Genesis Caribou fat bikes, but they seem to have developed a very good technique or knack for breaking them. Anyway, I've got some tools here. Actually, I'm travelling very light, so I don't have a lot of tools, but I do have some. So I'm going to mess about here and see if I can get something fixed up. I'll keep the camera rolling for a wee while. I wish I'd broken down in a more scenic spot for you folks. The river's just over there, but I don't feel that I ought to carry on. Be careful that I don't lose these screws. Okay, we have a bike that works again. Now we just need to find a way of carrying some gear. So I'm struggling to get this lug off here because it was just spinning because I put a wee touch. See that powder coming out? That's low strength Loctite. I put a tiny bit of low strength Loctite in, which is ordinarily quite easy to take out. It's not the one that requires heat, but when that little lug there was not attached to the frame, it was just spinning. So there we are. I don't know if I can get this out of there. Not that I actually need it, so it's stuck in there, but I'll easily get it out in the workshop at home. 2-minute job to take it out. Actually, I probably could get it out here if I just wiggle it, but it's not important. I've got other things to do, so I'll just put this old multi-tool back. I don't need it. I've got another one. Put it back in my bag so I don't lose it. So I've got a fully functioning bike and I've got a fully functioning bike rack. I'm just wondering if there's any way that I can fit this bike rack onto the bike. I'm wondering if it will go on the front any way at all. Let me just present it up to the bike and see. So it would go that way, I guess. You know what? I think it's worth taking the gorilla cages off to have a wee look. It's not a big job. Actually, they're toe peak cages, they're not gorilla cages. We're making some sort of progress here, folks. Not sure how much progress, but let me see. I need to put that in there and then onto something. That one or that one. Well folks, I've got it on. Now I just need to see if I can tighten it up and keep it in place. Don't know how strong it is mounted like this, but we'll give it a go. Oh, it's cold on the hands, folks. It's a lot easier doing this in the workshop. The radio on, a cup of tea, and the heater. There we go. Can't remember which way round to go now because everything's the other way around. I think that's right. Right folks, we're up and running again. I'm going to keep this warm hat on for a wee while. I've got my cycle hat here. It's not best practice, I know, but I'm going to take it easy for the first few kilometres, and then I'm going to get off and I'm going to test all these fixings to make sure that the rack is attached securely to the front. It's always a different matter if the luggage comes off the front, especially if it gets caught up in the front wheel, because it's up and over. At least with the back wheel, you're going to go down probably, but maybe not flying. Anyhow, let's not worry about that. Let's get on this track and get warmed up. Seems to be working fine, folks. I stopped and put the tent on the handlebars. I was just conscious that the front rack was bouncing a wee bit on the rough stuff. Seems okay now. Depending on how much time I've got tonight, I might fiddle around with it to see if I can mount some of the gear further back. All part of the fun. Isn't that beautiful, folks? I'm going to climb for a wee while and then I've got another descent, so I'll put my cycling bonnet back on again. We're enjoying some nice views today. So I've come down to the river, folks, to show you the view. But I'm going to backtrack a little bit because there's a wee camping spot that I know right at the side of the track. It's showing you a wee bit of the track here, folks. There's bits of the track that were absolutely lethal. So a lot of it was covered in snow, so you couldn't actually see what was under it. But you can see there, actually, I fell over there, you can see that, can you see? Polished ice. I was weathering away to the camera there and I realised the camera wasn't flashing anymore, the battery died. So what I was saying before the battery died was this is quite a nice wee spot, although it's under a tree, and I was talking about I don't normally camp under trees. Too many years working with them, I know what damage they can do when they fall over. But it's going to be quite a quiet night weather-wise, although it's going to be very cold. I think they're talking about -10 here tonight. So I think I'm okay here. I chose this spot because it's got a bit of shelter actually. However, there's a boulder there and I thought I might be able to just prise it up. I didn't realise it was so big. So what I was saying is I might just put my tent on the track. I went down the track a wee while ago, which is part of the reason why I'm so short on daylight, because I was just dilly-dallying down there, just enjoying the soft light of the evening. So I glanced at my watch and realised I better get a crack on. But when I went down there, the whole track is covered in snow except for this wee bit up here, and there's no footprints on it, so nobody's been down there in a long time, and I'm going to be up and away early in the morning. So instead of trying to excavate boulders at this time of night, I think I might just put my tent on the track. Those of you that have camped with me before will know that it's not the first time that I've done that. Well, it didn't take long to set up tonight, folks. I'm just going to go and tuck myself under that tree there and cook up a bit of dinner. I've got two gas canisters with me. I've got this one which has only got a wee bit in it. Despite the lateness of the hour, I'm going to try and use it up. I've got a full one there. But if I don't have a lot of cooking to do this time, I need to cook up a bit of food now and then a wee bit of breakfast, and that's all. So I may just manage it with this. Mind you, this water's pretty cold. To break the ice on the water before I fill my water bottle. Porridge with blueberries. Chicken korma with rice. I think I'll try that tonight. I usually carry one spare just in case. I always carry a wee bit of spare food. I've got macaroni cheese there, but I quite fancy the chicken, and if I feel hungry afterwards I'll double up and I'll have the mac and cheese as well. Although I think it's unlikely that I'll need that. Get a wee pouch of desiccant with this. I'm going to be eating that. There you are, so you just add water. Leave it for 5 minutes or so. Give it another stir and you're good to go. I'll put in a little bit extra water so I'll make it a wee bit soupy. When I first tried them I tended to make them a little bit too soupy, and whilst that was quite good for hydration, they weren't quite as tasty. There we are. What I'm going to do is put that stove straight back on again because I want to have a tea or maybe a hot chocolate tonight actually. Sometimes I get asked, occasionally I get asked by a neighbour or a friend that's not into the hills, what do you do when you're in the hills? How do you fill your time? Well, today, apart from the 20 minutes that I spent sitting down on a rock there watching the river go by, it's been constant activity, either cycling or pushing the bike or fixing the bike, and then putting the tent up, cooking up a meal, getting a brew on the go. There's never much free time, especially at this time of the year, although it's 6:30 now and not quite dark yet, so the lighter nights are very welcome. It's a lot less tent time, to be honest. I don't mind holing up in the tent in the winter now and again, but it's not the sort of thing that I want to do every week. I suppose that's where the band comes into its own. You can sit comfortably with the lights on and the heater on. Right, enough blethering. Oh, I've got a boil on. Boil up the last of my water so that I can have some rice pudding. Well folks, I'm tucked up nice and warm in the tent. It's supposed to go down to -10 tonight in the Glens. Whether we experience that sort of temperature here or not remains to be seen, but it's certainly pretty cold out. I went back down to the river to give my hands and face a wash and just enjoy the last few remnants of daylight before I hiked up here and into the sleeping bag. I've got my feet in the sleeping bag, but as you can see I'm not fully wrapped up in it yet. So I'm going to listen to some tunes. I managed to get a wee bit of charge into this GoPro. It's sitting at about 50% just now, so hopefully there'll be a wee bit of power left in it so that I can speak to you in the morning. So I don't want to wind the video up here. I would rather wind the video up in the morning. But I don't think I'm going to do much filming down the track tomorrow. So for now, I'm going to kick back, I'm going to relax, listen to some tunes. I've also got a book with me, so I might do a wee bit of reading as well. So we'll check in with you in the morning, folks. Good night for now. It's a glorious morning folks, but it's not going to last. I'm trying to charge up my telephone here, but I'm all out of power. It says it's charging, but only 2%. I think it's just too cold. I needed a more powerful power bank. Put it in my pocket and see if that helps. I had the power bank wrapped up in my other hat last night. I maybe should have put it in the sleeping bag with me. Right, let's get some coffee and porridge on the go. I'm trying to boil up this kettle with a wee bit of gas that I've got left in the bottom. The weather's changing already. There's some bad weather coming in later today, and then tomorrow I think is going to be a really mucky day, but it's going milder tomorrow, so at lower elevation the snow will change to sleet and then rain. So this is just a quick overnighter folks, a wee video for you to enjoy a glimpse of the southern Cairngorms. I'm going to have a cafe mocha this morning folks. A bit of coffee. That'll do. A wee bit more, waking me up. And we'll have a porridge with blueberries. Just be enough water here for that. I've got to say the bags are working fine on the front of the bike. Got a wee bit of thinking to do when I get home about how I'm going to reconfigure this bike, because I don't know that I'm necessarily going to bother welding that lug back on. I think I'm going to explore some different, or investigate some different systems for carrying a little bit of weight on the rear. It's an old bike, and it cost me next to nothing because of the compensation I got for my other Genesis Caribou, which was already pretty old, so I feel that this is all a little bit of a bonus. But I really like the Genesis Caribou fat bike. It's a lot of fun, and it's easy to ride, it's comfortable. You don't go anywhere particularly fast, but so I'm going to stick with it. As you know, those of you that are following the channel, I've got my new Surly, but that's still very much a work in progress, so I've still got quite a lot to do to that before I wheel it out and bring it into the wilds. So we'll get something sorted for this. I'll give a wee channel update and let you know what I plan. So that's me all packed up. I've just literally just got to take the tent down and stick it on the front or the back or wherever I decide to put it today, and then get out of here. Well folks, I'm almost back at the car now. I filmed a couple of bits, a couple of pieces to camera back there, a few kilometres back, but I've got the muffler on the camera and it hides the wee recording light, so I don't know if the camera was recording or not. It was down to 5%, but when I went round to switch the camera off it was dead. So cut a long story short, I put the camera on charge and I cycled most of the track beyond the high point and down past the snow and the ice to here, and while I was cycling it I had the camera sucking out the last bits of power from the power bank, so give me an opportunity to wind the video up here folks. So I hope you enjoyed this one, something a wee bit different, especially the trackside repairs, a wee bit of fun there. I quite like when these things happen on shorter trips, especially if you've got a wee bit of time to fiddle around, because it's all experience that you gain for longer trips where things may or may not go wrong, but whatever, you've got some skills or experience behind you. It's not the first time that you've come across such things. Anyway, blethering on here. I'm going to cycle down the track. I've not got far to go now, and meet the road about a mile down the road back to the car, get the bike loaded on and way down the road. So we'll get back to you on the next one folks. Thanks as ever for tuning in, very much appreciated. Bye for now.